Welcome back to Pewdiepie. I'm Zui and I hope you enjoy today's video. But before we get right into it, I'm obligated to remind you to click either the like or dislike button, commenting something down below, and of course, sharing the video after you finished watching it. If you have any suggestions or ideas for a story, my Discord link is in my link tree that is down in the description, as well as my Patreon and Ko-fi for any donations you may want to send my way. Anyways, let's get right into it. The amount of scattered toys were a nightmare to deal with. Why the machine was allowed to fill its place with trash was a mystery to you. Technically, this wasn't even your job. Those were the thoughts that plagued your mind as you went through the small rooms above the Fazbear daycare. However, just one bad step, one ill-fated move, was enough to make you fall. You were a handyman at the Fazbear Entertainment Mega Pizzaplex. It was a regular job, with regular pay, but the perks were amazing. Employee discount at 5%, which, while not much, was still a discount. Daily interactions with the smartass engineer Kevin, whom you had a playful rivalry with due to your jobs both involving fixing stuff. But most importantly, working in an environment that had functional air conditioning. Honestly, in summer, you dreaded leaving your work just because of that. And because of that, you made sure that whatever needed fixing, you fixed to the best of your ability. Today, you had been called for a semi-routine cleanup of the daycare attendant's room. The place was mostly inaccessible, and it required using scaffolding to get up. Normally, you did this with Kevin, but he was busy today, attending a junior karate tournament with his 10-year-old son Jackson. So it was just you up there today. Once every month, someone needed to get up in the attendant's room for cleaning and maintenance. This meant making sure his charging station was functional and the throwing away of any knickknacks the animatronic had collected. You sighed as you readied your trash bags. The cleanup started in the deepest parts of the alcove and ended at the scaffolding. You'd be boxed in here for a while. No toilet. Worst of all, no air conditioner. Yet, mentally prepared for this. You slightly dehydrated yourself by not drinking for the entire day. You had a portable fan that you placed on the balcony, overviewing the entire daycare to blow in the cool air from the area. So, it was breathable now, at least. You sighed as you looked at the mountain of trash before you. Dirty plushies, half-finished finger paint pictures, suspicious glitter glue stains. Thank God there was no mold. Mold was expected at this point. For an animatronic who was designed for cleanliness, his place being so dirty didn't make a lot of sense. You and Kevin even had come up with theories. The currently working one was son simply throwing away what he considered trash in his room because most of the trash bins were outside of his general play area. But as your eyes fell upon the pictures, some of them quite childlike, not the borderline art he was capable of producing, you furrowed your brows as you looked at a half-finished picture of what was obviously day shift guard Brian sitting at the daycare security desk. The kid had drawn him with his phone in his hands. The words "Plants vs. Zombies guy" were written above him. You blinked. You should report this to the owner of the Pizzaplex, Amir, but you also didn't want to fuck with the man's job. You just don't fuck with a guy's job. Simple as that. So a funny idea came to you. Considering the fact that this picture was about to be thrown out anyways, you pulled out a pen from your pocket, crossed out the Plants vs. Zombies guy letters, and wrote lazy pothead over it. Chuckling at your own joke, you disposed of the picture. Slowly you worked your way over the balcony. Thankfully, by cleaning this place every month, it had been successfully reduced to 3 full bags of trash rather than 5, when you started this with Kevin. But it was around this time you realized something. The talking and mumbling and laughing from the daycare had all but stopped. You looked behind yourself. Was it really this late already? Looking down at the entirety of the daycare, the last few children were escorted out by Brian to be reunited with the parents. The sun-faced animatronic, waving them goodbye. And then noticing your watchful gaze. He jumped up and happily did a dance for you. Smiling, you huffed. Maybe this wasn't all bad after all. You waved back. However, just as you were about to return to your work, you stepped on a ball. You shrieked as you were catapulted out of the balcony. Of course, something clumsily stupid like this would be your end. Yet still, you shouted, "Help!" as you clung for dear life to the balcony. Your arms screamed in pain as your entire weight now rested on them. Your fingers scratched against the balcony. And your legs wiggled around in a desperate attempt for purchase. You were so scared. You couldn't even cry. That's how terrified you were. While you were squirming in pain at what you preserved as your inevitable demise, the attendant sprung into action. As his Save Our Souls, in short SOS, program sprung into action. The SOS program was designed for animatronics who had a non-cooperative personality, to force them to perform things like CPR if needed. Roxanne Wolf, Montgomery Gator, and the daycare attendant all had been outfitted with this system. The robot took a hold of the rope he used to float around the daycare, and lifted himself up to the balcony. As he jumped down on the floor, his hands took yours, and for a moment you thought you'd still fall. But his grip was iron tight. "Calculating response to current situation," he said. "No time for response, can't you just pull me up?" "Long live the Queen," said the robot ominously. Wait, what? You were going to die. Oh God, you were going to die. You were so focused on being a sobbing mess that you didn't notice the machine actually pulling you up onto safe ground. "Oh God, please don't drop me," you cried as you assumed the fetal position. Sun's SOS program meanwhile shut down, as to him, the situation had been cleared. As his primary personality returned, he couldn't help but tilt his head. He could have sworn a moment ago you had just waved at him. And why were you crying now? How the hell did he get up here? He made a noise and poked your back with one of his long fingers. The moment his metal touched you, your body convulsed, and you unleashed a scream louder than anything you had ever produced. But then, you blinked, slowly realizing that you were no longer in danger. The robot was squatting down next to you. What's wrong? What happened? I don't remember what happened," asked the robot with concern. You blinked. Wait, so, you didn't drop me? Your heart was racing. Were you dead? No, this felt a little too real to be dead. Ugh, your head hurt, and your face was wet from tears and the snot and salvia you spat out while uselessly crying on the ground. You felt stupid. Pressing your back against the safe balcony wall, you began to slowly breathe.
Miss Engineer, I'm sorry, but can you please explain to me what happened?
You looked up at the machine. Your eyes fell onto the evil ball that had caused all this. Blushing, you looked away from it. I just fell.
Oh, my sweet pumpkin!
The robot leaned forward and wrapped himself around you. Blushing, you patted his back. It's all right, you muttered.
No, I'm sorry! This is my fault!
Now he was the one crying. How sweet of him.
If I wouldn't have turned my place into such a mess, this would not have happened.
The more the robot spoke, the more sad it became. Son, Sonny, it's okay, I think. For a moment you expected him to get back up on his feet and just say okay and return to normal. But instead, slowly, gently, he moved off of you. And with his head hung low, he proceeded to grab one of the garbage bags.
Please, let me help you throw them away. I feel horrible.
Son, it's okay. You thought for a moment. Okay, Sonny, I have an idea. Please listen to me. He tilted his head. We still aren't finished with the cleanup, right? Ugh, God, this hurt. You so rarely needed to act like an adult. Honestly, you were quite mad. But also, your arms felt sore and your heart was still racing and you were really done with the situation. It was so difficult right now not to just punch the machine, leave via the scaffolding and quit your job out of sheer burst of emotions you were feeling. Honestly, it kinda scared you. How much you wanted to do this right now. Yeah, maybe that's just what it meant to grow up, right? Right? How about we finish the cleanup together, and we see what we do afterwards, alright? He nodded. Slowly you got up on your feet. Growling you rubbed over your face. While sitting, you didn't even realize how dizzy you were. And at least no one saw this. God, imagine this happened during playtime. With Son's help, the rest of the cleanup went over quite fast. 3 bags, as expected. You set them down on the scaffolding, suddenly being very aware of how high the gondola was.
Miss Engineer?
Yeah, just give me a moment. You inhaled deeply. If you wanted to reach food, water, a fucking toilet, you needed to get the hell down here. With shaking legs, you stepped on the cart's wood, before slowly pulling yourself down on the ground. When you stepped off of it, trash in hand, you looked up at the animatronic. By now he reconnected his rope, and he was right now pulling the gondola up to secure it. After the robot joined you a few minutes later, he very energetically demanded to carry at least 2 of the bags. You didn't argue with him. We need to bring them to the janitor station so they can sort the recycled stuff out of it. The robot nodded. The pizzaplex was eerily quiet. Well, it was 6 p.m., so the entire section around the daycare was closed for the day. And soon, you set the bags down in the janitor station.
Okay, Miss Engineer, we're done with your work, right?
You shrugged. Why was he so enthusiastic about you finishing your work? But technically, you still were on the clock for another hour. Yeah, sure. Sure. You answered the machine with a nod.
Ah, good. Then, let me do something nice for you.
You sighed, allowing the robot to take your hand. The robot guided you back into the daycare.
Well, what now? He blinked. Well, originally, I wanted to print you out a birthday pass for the daycare cake, but, by now I realize you wouldn't like that.
You bit your lower lip. Actually, you would like that a lot. But employee policy. You weren't allowed to accept any coupons or discounts from the machines, as those rewards were for customers only.
Well, what else did you come up with? I want to give you a massage!
You blinked, perplexed. But as you were processing what he said, he already pushed you into the daycare and onto one of the small pink stools in the playpen.
You really don't need to...
But the machine already gently set his long metallic hands on your shoulders. Awkwardly, you gazed at your reflection in a window. The robot, while having his hands safely secured, was shuffling to find the right spot. After a moment of silence, his fingers formed a C shape. Gently, he felt the contours of your back muscles until he reached your collarbones with his fingertips, making you blush. And then your body shook. It hurt a lot. But at the same time, his gentle ministrations made you gasp. The cool feeling of his synthetic fingers made your spine tingle. You moaned.
How can you... How are you so good at this? Oh, I can answer that.
While he was talking, he slightly increased the intensity of his massage.
The original plan of the Pizzaplex was to be open all day and night, and offer a spa for adult entertainment when the children would go home.
You blushed. You didn't know that.
But management soon realized that calling it adult entertainment, even if it was just pure wellness, would lead to weird looks and bad public relations.
You nodded, thinking about the weird art you saw of Roxy on the internet.
Yeah, I can see why.
You groaned in pleasure, just as he hit the right spot.
Oh, God. So, this is still in your programming? Precisely!
Sadly, though, it seemed like the programming was incomplete, as the entire experience only lasted for about 10 minutes, and he never made you lie down on the ground so he could really work on your muscles properly. However, you still managed to almost fall asleep. You inhaled as he stepped away from you. Smiling, the two of you once again embraced.
Hey, Sonny,
you whispered.
Yes, Miss Repair Lady?
You looked into his goofy eyes, before gently pressing your lips onto his ever-grinning face. At first you thought it would be weird, but you felt so relaxed you didn't care. Went the robot.
What was that for?
For saving my life, you dork. As you were enjoying something akin to a boyfriend experience with the animatronic, Brian, the day shift guard, got ready to leave, only to be told by the manager to do the recycling today. The man just shrugged and walked to the garbage, where he haphazardly threw the stuff out, not really caring if everything went in the right bin. However, he noticed a certain image fall out of one of the bags. It kinda struck him. Quickly he leaned into the trash container and grabbed a piece of paper. It had a small stain on it and was a bit crumbled, but it was still intact. So intact, in fact, he could read it. "Lazy pothead, huh?" He said with a wide grin. Nice. Now this is art. Quickly he folded the picture and put it in the pocket of his pants. This is going right on my fridge. Today's video had been suggested by Discord user Trinity. Thank you for your suggestion.